Yeah. Hey, we're back. Chad is indisposed right now, so we're gonna just jump through some of these new tactical things that are coming online. Just John and I are gonna do that for you guys. So one of the biggest things that we've gotten in the game is the Alchemist. Chad's been working really hard on getting the arc attacks for his grenade tosses in. And so we're going to show you the sort of how that works right now. It's an ability. What we're thinking right now is that the Alchemist is a melee character. So we're gonna actually take this the big chucker hook and make it a little bit more brutal looking, and be able to do melee attacks, and then with a cooldown be able to chuck grenades. So you'll just get this kind of arced preview of where it's going. So this right now is just debug. And those red dots on the parabola, those are the height of a medium blocker.
Right.
So you should always be able to clear a medium blocker that's around. And for 1 square away, it actually doesn't matter because you wouldn't actually be throwing it over anything. And then once you pick that, you'll be able to do that, lock that in, and then chuck it. It'll explode and be an AoE attack. So. It has brought up some really interesting questions when we're talking about what does accuracy mean? We really like the way that AoE attacks work in XCOM, but they feel so consistent, especially the grenades, that it was I think it can be, I don't know, we just wanted it to be a little bit more random than in that game. So right now we have it so that they're 100% accurate when you throw them, but we're talking about working it so that it would do an accuracy check just like a melee or ranged attack.
Yep.
And then we would actually have a wild throw, is what you were calling it in the design doc, a wild throw, and that it would miss by a certain number of tiles around where you're aiming, and that being an AoE attack, the minimum in a grid-based game would just be the plus sign. So that's probably what we're going to start with for the bomb explosion, is that it just hits the tile that it lands on, and then 1 tile northeast, south, and west. So it'll hit 5 tiles. That might be too small. We talked about doing.
We might have to go up to
3 by
3.
3 by 3, which would be shape. 9, because that's 3 multiplied by 3 if you want to do it that way.
That's
and then so we'll see where that lands, but.
No pun intended. But yeah, so the idea is that each one of these attack types has kind of a different way that misses happen, or a miss event is different. So if you shoot with a ranged, if you shoot with the hunter's arrow and miss, that's just a miss. You're gonna get no damage. Melee misses kind of stink, so you get a glancing blow. You're gonna do some damage. You're gonna be able to whittle people away with melee attacks if you need to. And then with these arc throws, you get the wild throw, where it is going to land in the environment, it is going to explode. You may still hit an enemy, but it's not going to go exactly where you wanted it to go.
Yep. There's another feature that we've been working on. I think it's tough. This effect is very subtle, and it is placeholder. We're working on it right now. But as I move around to my new destination here, if you look at this enemy closely, I don't know if this would come across on the stream or not, but he's kind of just normal colored, but then when I step out, if I were to step here, you can see him kind of light up. It's pretty subtle, you can jack that up. But that's just telling you that your character will have line of sight of that character if you're to step to a place where that enemy is lit up. And I think that this is really awesome, and it's something that really frustrates me when I play tactics games, is that, and I think you and me both, when we play them, is that you almost want an undo button sometimes, because you move your character and then you're oh wait, well I wouldn't have even moved him here if I didn't think I had line of sight to this enemy. What? Oh man! And you kind of feel like the game screwed you a little bit. So with this, you should know. It is interesting though. If you had one of these grenades loaded up, you can actually use that information in a different way. Because this is a medium blocker, you know that you can throw a bomb over it. And so I almost want to move to a place where the enemy doesn't have line of sight to me, here.
Yep.
And then I can still throw one of these grenades over this medium blocker and still get them. But yeah, we just got that in the game, and it's super interesting, and it's super fun to play around with it. The other big thing that we got into the game. Did I even get
Do you
a
have any
caber
caber
jack?
jacks? I don't know if you have any.
I didn't
Might
even
have to
get one
reload.
in this
One
in
sec.
this random roll.
Right now, when you jump into the game, it just kind of generates a whole bunch of heroes for you randomly.
Yep, I got a caber jack this time. Let's see, what is the best way to show this off?
Give yourself infinite AP and start
Yeah, that's probably the best.
start
way.
clunking things around.
So we really want the caber jacks sort of like core battle philosophy. Battle philosophy? We should have a battle philosopher. That's awesome. That's much cooler than a bard, a battle philosopher. But like we want his kind of
What
play
is
style.
war?
His playstyle to be about like manipulating the position of enemy units in melee combat. So with his new ability, this is a really dubious looking icon, by the way. I don't know who made that one, but to have this
Program
knockback
art.
skill be the
That's great.
really core core thing. So right now we have it so that it always hits, does minimal damage, and it knocks the character that you hit back 3 tiles, right? 2 on the diagonal.
2 diagonal, yeah.
3 on the straight. And so you can use this to like manipulate where characters are, help out, you know, like knock a character out of line of sight or into line of sight for one of your other characters, or yeah, I don't know, all sorts of things. Like we're kind of messing around with it and seeing like how useful it's actually going to be. But one thing, and a lot of the caber jack's passive abilities on the tree really feed into like this knockback attack and how it works. One of the ones that you came up with that I thought was maybe not going to be very useful is the ability to knock friendly units around with your knockback attack. And that's just in the game right now, just because nobody disabled it. It's just like, oh yeah, you can totally use this knockback attack on people if you want to. Cool. And I've actually found it to be pretty useful because if I knock one of my own characters 3 squares, that gives them like 3 extra squares of movement technically, and it can actually like, I don't know, it seems pretty cool. There's also a momentum-based thing. Let me see. What is the best way to set that up?
Set up a couple guys next to each other and see what happens.
So we also want characters that get hit by the knockback as they're sliding back. If they run into another character or a blocker, they'll actually take additional damage and then transfer the momentum to the thing that they hit, and then also potentially be stunned.
Right.
Where they'll lose AP for their next turn.
So right now, characters get stunned if they collide with stuff. And then we also have, so go up and like knock them again, and you'll actually hit that next guy out almost like a, there you go.
Full square. Yeah.
So we have this cool momentum system where we're playing with, the ranges and all this stuff, but these 2 guys now, they have the little down chevron. They've lost all their AP, and they're gonna be stunned for 1 turn. So if you do that to an enemy, if you're able to hit an enemy into an object or into another enemy, you can potentially lock down a couple guys for then a whole next turn. We'll have to see how powerful that is. Knockback might not be something you can do every turn. It might have a couple turn cooldown just for that reason. But it's
just for
pretty
being
cool
able to like stun lock enemies and things like that. Like it's definitely something we're gonna have to mess around with. But I think that just the initial tests of like getting in there and playing around with it seems very promising.
Yep.
I think it's gonna be really
And there's
good.
no new animations for this either, which is cool. This is using the standard twitch that everybody has, kind of flinch hit reaction, and just sliding them around and then having them face you. So, the more animation time we get, the more we can put more interesting stuff in there. But I think just for like the first pass of this is amazing. So, Chad put this together, lead programmer Chad Dawson, and I've been having a fun time playing around with it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great. It's proving to be really good, and it's cool. This character will be about really shoving dudes around. We'll definitely have a unique animation for him actually shoving it. We're talking about maybe having him hold it. What is this?
Basically doing like
how do
a
you describe
cross
this?
check.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
It's
exactly. Like holding it up in front of him. I can't think of there's a word that I would really like to use right now. Horizontally, yeah. Horizontally, that's a great thing. And then just really smashing the enemy like that to shove them backwards. I think it'll feel more like a shove, whereas with the business ram of the normal attack will feel very different. So yeah, hopefully that's cool. I think that's about all the new tactical stuff that we have. So if you want to take any questions about that would be awesome.
We have a suggestion from Solar Blitz that it should be an automatic KO if you knock back somebody into the end of a B mount. So you like
Sure.
impale them on a B mount. So yeah, when B mounts make it in the game,
We'll let you know. You'll
that
be the
will be a
first to
part
know.
of it. Yeah. So questions. Any skills? Waving People asked, are there any skills to reel a cadence toward you instead of pushing? That was one thing we wanted to have the Vanguard do, and don't know where that fits in right now. So right now, not necessarily, but potentially. I mean, character manipulation is definitely a useful thing on the battlefield, and we'll see. It could make its way into an item if we do it, or if we're able to get the Vanguard in, that'd be a good thing to save for that guy. Mind of Link asks, are we planning on adding any texture particle effects to knockbacks? Totally. It hasn't had any particle pack.
No VFX pass on that at all.
Or animation pass. So yeah, it's cool that it's already, looking interesting and fun and snappy, and then it can just get better from there.
Yep, and I think it'll look great to have some skidding particles on the character as they're moving backwards, and yeah, there's a bunch of different things that we'll be doing to it in the future.
Brodavi asks, what about an AoE force field to push people or push characters away in all directions? Cool thing is the way that Chad implemented this, he already has ranged knockback working, and the way he's doing the AoE stuff is going to have a directionality as well. So yeah, our explosions we think are going to have knockback qualities as well.
Yep.
So you'll be able to
And that's one of the things with the hybrid classes that we want to do is that the hybrid of the Hunter Caberjack hybrid, that's where we'll put the range knockback ability, and then the Alchemist Caberjack hybrid is where we'll put the AoE kind of grenade knockback ability, and hopefully that it's very intuitive, it makes sense, and hopefully people are into it.
Got some questions about story and mythology. Any progress report on story or backstory cadence mythology?
No.
No.
Not really. It's not a huge priority right now, honestly. It's something that we will get to, and we'll let you guys know when we have a little bit more to share.
Laser Messiah asks, how many different types of potions or grenades will the Alchemist have? Now, one thing about that is that the Alchemist's, one of his other abilities, he's going to be kind of like the, it's the Chemist class in Final Fantasy Tactics, right? He's going to be able to throw items that other people will be able to just use. So we have healing potions, we have smoke grenades, we have a bunch of things that everybody else might be able to throw at their feet or use within one square that he's going to be able to toss. And that's going to be a big boon to be using him. He's also going to have some different grenades from the demon weapons that we'll get, right?
Yep.
And some of his skills are going to do some different stuff.
Donut bombs. We need a good name for a donut bomb, but yeah, there should be plenty out there.
Circadian Wolf asks, will there be anything similar to a prone condition like in D&D?
Is that when you get knocked unconscious?
I assume that means kind of a down but not out. Not like I've chosen to crawl. For right now, it doesn't look like it's going to make scope, but it is something that we originally want to do, and we'll see if we can get there.
We had talked about it, but I think that we had ruled it out. It's not a bad idea at all, but.
Link Wizard asks, after a character dies, can another character stand on the same square?
Yes. What do you think about that?
Yep, easy peasy.
I mean, and really, like one of the prime reasons why we would do that is that we don't want areas to be blocked by dead bodies. It's like if you have a corridor that's 2 or 3 wide, you can totally kill, 3 guys across, and then oh no, how do I get past there? You can't. It's kind of the worst. So, yeah, they just become impassable right now. And they might dissolve or fade into the ground or something like that. But right now I think it's fine to just have them be dead. Although I did notice that this big dude is pretty big. So when he's dead, probably want to do something about that guy because that doesn't look the best. But we'll see.
Bugammon asks if facing is relevant.
Right now, it is relevant for melee attacks and point-blank range shots on enemies. That's the only time. Player facing is not relevant. You don't have control over it, so we decided no. But one thing that we were playing around with was that enemies, like, it's kind of interesting that the way we're doing flinch animations is that the character will always turn to face where they took the damage. So, like you'll see if I might kill this guy, right?
You can turn off damage. Yeah. Damage enemy off.
So I mean, first of all, like you get a
So yeah, if you look at the percent chance for this,
you get a percent hit here, right?
Look at what
the
the
75 to hit, but from the front. Oh, is that?
He might be a really good.
Different
guy.
classes.
They're different classes. Yeah.
Okay. But I guess one way we can show it is that it's a 78% to hit on the front with this caberjack. If I hit him with the alchemist, it's going to spin him around, and now it's like I have a 108 to hit him in the back.
That's a high percent chance to hit. That guy actually might be an optimist. We have a trait
probably an optimist.
that is optimistic, which shows your percent chance is higher than it really is, and that gets a little. We haven't messaged that super well right now, but it's a pretty interesting idea.
But that I think that's a cool way of like letting you manipulate the enemies in order to like gain an advantage using the facing, and facing is pretty like it's pretty intuitive. I think it's pretty intuitive kind of a mechanic. It's just that I really, really, really strongly dislike the facing mechanic in Final Fantasy Tactics. It's only relevant sometimes, and yet you have to set it every single time you move a character, and it becomes a very like rote, annoying sort of like step in the process that I feel like just doesn't have to be there. So yeah, I would rather not have it be in the game, but if we do it asymmetrically like this, then I think it can be a part of the game and it can be cool without being kind of annoying. So yeah.
Death by Sumo has a good question. Curious about the balancing process. How far along do you need to be in production before you start worrying about the many stat numbers?
My approach has always been that is to not use the word worry. Don't worry about them, but do care about them. Do start changing them and manipulating them and massaging them. But like, don't get stressed out about it, because early on in the process of the game, it's like, the game's terrible. Like, this game is pretty terrible right now. Like, all games are terrible at this stage. That's just how it works. But you kind of want it to, like, you want to try to start pushing it towards the ballpark. And so I think having, taking balance passes at it and messing around with things and always sort of like thinking about the numbers without stressing out about them, I think is really, really useful. Also, another good thing is that if you can make the game feel better, and once it does start to become good, the better the numbers are, the better the game's going to be, the more the people on the team are actually going to play the game, on top of just like sort of testing the game and implementing features and stuff. And that's always going to make the game better, because then people are going to get more invested, more excited about the game, and they'll start noticing more things about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's
a good question. I think that's a really good question.
I think, we did kind of a big play test right before Christmas break, where we got everybody to play it, and I definitely did like a tuning pass at that point. But again, we had all these different enemy types in, but they were really just two different enemies. We have not yet split it out to make this guy more powerful than a small melee enemy or anything yet. So that's still coming, but we're constantly tweaking things. We just know it's going to change a lot. Let's see, one more question here. This is a fun one. Der Luftmensch. Does that mean like the
airman?
The airman? Yes. Are there any glitchy behaviors that have turned out to be interesting gameplay elements?
I mean, I guess the whole facing on flinching was something that I feel like, upon seeing that, we were like, oh yeah, maybe this could actually be like a part of the game. Cool. I feel like that one's pretty emergent, but
it really came from not we were trying to cut down we were trying to make the animation list lean and important, like make sure we're really hitting those important animations. And so if we needed to do like hit reactions from every direction on these characters, then it would potentially make it harder for us to make more enemies. So so we're like, okay, let's see what happens if we just take this flinch and have them turn to face. A lot of games do this. It looks cool. It feels impactful.
It looks fun,
It works. And then it also now changes the way this guy is facing, so you have a mechanic that arises out of that. So that's cool. I don't know. That's a neat thing that happens in a lot of games. We'll see. Keep you updated on more of this.
I'm trying to think if there's. I don't think that we're really far enough along to the point where we'd be like, oh yeah, like this is like, we have so many features planned that haven't even been implemented yet. That I don't think we're in that kind of like weird, meaty, nebulous area where like new things are kind of like falling out of it, So I would say maybe in 2 months, sort of like once we get all of the kind of. So we're doing a core pass on the Caberjack for January, and then a core pass on I think the Hunter in February, and then a core pass on the Alchemist in March, and we'll see how that goes. And I think once we sort of do all of those, we'll know exactly how our heroes, at least the core heroes, are going to function. And then there will be some stuff that starts falling out of that as we move on to like enemy skills and enemy behaviors and stuff. Like, I think that it will start to sort of like, we'll start seeing some more of those like emergent things that come out of the game. But yeah, I don't think we're quite there yet.
Cool.
Sweet.
That's it for questions right
now.
now.
I think we're gonna shut this guy down.
Cool. One more question. Just because it kind of works. Are there moves that would allow specific units to buff other units at a cost? Yeah, we actually do have, behind the scenes, we have a whole buff system that Patrick wrote that will let us do that. We just don't have a lot of those implemented right now. You actually can see the little shield icon here is a defense action that will give you a defense buff, so it actually buffs your stat for the next turn. But we'll have other things that will let you do that for other characters. So you can impact an area of effect around you to buff something, or an enemy might do the same thing or against you. So yeah, we've got a lot of support for that, and we'll see where it works.
Cool. I think we're gonna shut this guy down, but thanks for joining us, Master CHALICE Teamstream 14, and we're totally rolling in production. So we'll see you again in another 2 weeks with a lot more features. So thanks for joining us. See you at number 15.
Number 15. Have a good weekend.